Mike Schur in with us, and Charlotte and Amin and him are really geeking out on all things basketball, excited about the basketball season starting again. Mike won't shut up for many months now about the Sacramento Kings, but when I look at the entirety of the sport, I think most people think the Bucks, they are the betting favorite, look like the favorite, but when you think of most interesting teams in the league, the second, not who's your second best team that might win the championship, but just I find what's happening with that team interesting, and I will follow that storyline all season because they might win the championship. Who is that represented by for you, Mike?
I actually find the Bucks less interesting than I think most people do because they lost some depth. They got a superstar. Now there's two superstars on the team. They were really good last year and the year before that and the year before that. They'll be really good again. That's not that interesting to me. More interesting teams are teams on the come up like OKC and my beloved Sacramento Kings, who I will be once again supporting and rooting for in the West because they're both at this moment where they have a ton of good young players and they maybe exceeded expectations. And now the question is like, do they stay on that upward trajectory? Do they get better? Do the Kings get the 2 seed? Does OKC get the 3 seed or something crazy? Like, do they put it all together? Or do they kind of take a step back and fall apart and need to rethink the way that they've constituted their rosters? Those teams are more interesting to me. The Bucks are just always good. Who cares? They were good last year. They'll be good this year.
But you're geeking out on good, right? You're thinking to yourself, well, the Thunder, the way they're constructed, adding Holmgren and now having 35 picks over the next 7 years, that's an interesting construct. I'm talking about storyline for this one season, and you also think they can win the championship because you believe they can win the championship, like better than Denver, better than Milwaukee.
No, not better than Denver, the defending champions, and not better than Milwaukee with two of the 5 best players.
But I'm saying the Suns and the Warriors would be in that conversation, would they not?
Well, to me, that's the other team. The team that's been great consistently that is most interesting is the Warriors because Chris Paul is now on the Warriors, and watching him play the other night in that offense was really fun. Also, it led to the best moment of the preseason, which was when he flopped. Was it Buddy Hield? Was it or De'Aaron Fox? Who was it? Buddy Hield?
No, it was Fox.
It was Fox who he kind of flopped, and then Fox imitated him flopping, and then the two of them jawed at each other for 30 seconds. This is preseason. You're already on Chris Paul for flopping in the preseason. Like that, you know what? He's got that dog in him. Fox has that dog in him. I'm telling you right now. I'm just saying. And but the Warriors, this is it, man. This is the home stretch for these guys. They do not have that many years left. They added the best point guard maybe in the history of the NBA to run their offense, or at least to come off their bench and run their second unit.
Is he coming off their bench?
I don't know. Right now he is, right?
No, right now he's starting.
Is he starting?
Because Draymond's been hurt. So, so they've been playing Klay Thompson at the 3 and Wiggins at the 4. This is, Charlotte and I spoke about this on Oddball. This is a season of will it work all across the league. Will it work? Will it work? And so for the Warriors is, will it work? Are you going to go super small and keep Klay at the 3 just to start Chris Paul and buttress his feelings? Or do you bring him off the bench, which is the more appropriate, more balanced measure, especially for a team that isn't great on size, right? At center, they've got Looney, who's undersized. They've got Kuminga, who's undersized. They've got Saric, who's tall but slender. They don't have traditional size. So are you going to exacerbate that and go 6'2", 6'3"?
That's a tiny
backcourt? Yeah. So, but is Chris Paul capable of saying, cool, I'll come off the bench? Because it's been asked of him, and every time he bristles. Well, we haven't decided. Buddy, it's not hard. Just look at the roster. You've got Klay, he's going to start. You got Steph, he's going to start. You got Draymond, who's going to start. Looney has to start. That last spot is either going to go to Wiggins, who is 6'8", and has been one of their better defensive players, or it's going to go to you, who's my size. It's simple math on this one.
When you say he's 6'2", 6'3", and Mike, you're like, it's a tiny roster. Men on dating apps listening to this everywhere just shudder. Oh, God damn it. To me, the Warriors are absolutely fascinating. First of all, I think that the end of a story is always so magnetic in sports no matter what. I think it's really fun to watch something come up and OKC and how is that going to work? It's exciting. I think the most fascinating thing is to watch a team that just based on like age and physics is clearly not going to be getting better.
It's one last ride.
Yeah.
One last ride is always a great story.
It's amazing. And then to inject not only a player who didn't really fit with their offense, but a player who is Chris Paul, who is so annoying, who Draymond already was like, I didn't like him. And Chris Paul was like, yeah, same. And they're like, so glad you're here, buddy. And now Draymond is hurt, so it's not an issue. So Chris Paul can start. Like when it's just like the most beautiful reality show. Like what's going to happen?
It's not just that Chris Paul can start. It's also Chris Paul can have the ball in his hands and be the facilitator.
Yes.
Because the guy who does that is the guy that's hurt. But when Draymond comes back, now you've got to be more off the ball, more moving around. Can you accept that? And my favorite part about the whole Draymond-Chris Paul thing is Draymond, in his own words, when he talked to Youngmasuk of ESPN.com, it wasn't, you know what, there's a mutual respect that we have, even though we didn't like each other. It was, his words were basically, yeah, but when I thought about I have the opportunity to help him win his first championship.
Yeah.
It's like, so even then, even
super
as
condescending.
Absolutely.
The rudest thing you could say, the rudest nice thing you could say to somebody is,
I gave you this. I got you this.
You're welcome.
Will there be a moment at some point in the season when both Chris Paul and Draymond are on the court and they both want to have the ball in their hands and they end up tying each other up and having to jump off against each other?
You guys are saying one last ride, and a number of things are funny about that. One, Draymond Green, one last ride. He just got 4 years. Clay wants 4 years, wants to be paid. All of these Warriors want to be paid so much that Draymond punched a teammate in the face because they were talking about payments. And Chris Paul is now also eager to win the one championship that he has never won. And I think in talking about this, and we'll talk about the Lakers as well, I don't know if it's possible for this to happen quietly, but the idea that you have Booker, Durant together now, and that they've added Bradley Beal, and that their owner is all or nothing splashy guy, like that feels like it might not be Durant's last dance, but that can't be a quiet super team, can it? Like I feel like the Suns.
That is not quiet, Dan. That is not even
very loud.
It's very loud. And the loudest move, which I think is going to be the thing that gives them success, was trading Ayton away and getting Nurkic. I could not believe how many people nationally like, what are the Suns doing? I'm like, have you watched DeAndre Ayton play? He is not anything of what they need right now. What they need is someone who is an adult, right? Nurkic. Someone who brings toughness, someone who rebounds and can facilitate at the high post and move his feet defensively and be part of a defensive system. And Nurkic is a perfect fit. You throw Grayson Allen in as just gravy there, just an irritant who can come in and hit some shots. But
I thought you were going to say some nuts.
I thought you were going to say come in and trip some people.
Yeah, that too. But I think for Phoenix, the moment they went above the second apron to go get Bradley Beal, your man announced himself to the league. He said, I'm doing the new owner thing of I don't give a shit about money or taxes or whatever. And every bit of messaging he's had, anytime he's front-facing to the public, it's all a grand show of money is not an object. We're going to put these games on over-the-air TV. And if you don't have over-the-air TV, we'll give you a free antenna. This is what he's saying. We're going to build a new practice facility for the Mercury specifically, because right now they share with the Suns. Like, no, they need their own one. It's going to cost $100 million, and it'll be open by the start of the 2024 season, which is less than a year away. Everything that he's saying is loud, Dan. It's not quiet. It's not like we're going to build in the shadows over here. He went and he's aggressive. Now, I don't know if it's going to work, but I do know it's not going to be quiet.
Yeah, fair enough. Wrong word choice by me.
Apparently.
But
you really got attacked for that.
I did. He seems to be furious, but I don't feel like people are talking. When he lays out for us the is it going to work model where you can ask it about 5 or 6 different teams, I don't feel like people are asking that about Denver. I don't know if they're looking at what is happening in Phoenix and saying it's interesting, but I don't actually think that's going to win together. I've seen Phoenix lose enough that I don't think losing DeAndre Ayton and adding Bradley Beal is going to be improvement enough to be better than what I just saw from Denver.
I mean, they won the championship and their roster stayed the same for the most part, right?
But it didn't. They lost 2 key contributors. Bruce Brown and Jeff Green. Both of those guys played major minutes for them, major roles for them on the road to the championship. Now they're saying, hey, we're going to take internal steps. Basically, Peyton Watson, Christian Brown, these guys, Najee Marshall, these guys are going to take a step forward and fulfill those roles. But that is it going to work again? Because we saw what happened with Golden State. Golden State won a championship, and they said, hey, we don't need you, Bielitsa. Hey, we don't need you, Otto Porter. Our young guys are going to take that step forward. And then the young guys didn't. And then they had to go trade back for Gary Payton and get rid of Wiseman and all these things because the people they expected to take a step forward could not take a big enough step forward. Denver is doing the same math right after championship, just like the Warriors did. So that's a legitimate, is it going to work?
Speaking of the Warriors, I just want to go on record and say that the reason I said, one last ride and this is it for the Warriors is because I want to be the voice in the Draymond doc of the sports radio person being like, this is it. They won't win another one. It's all over. I want to be the soundtrack of that opening shot where he's getting in his car and driving to the facility. I want to be the doubter. They never have women's voices in there.
You're hearing your voice, and the lower third is Warriors practice facility 4:42 a.m.
Yeah.
And Draymond's opening the door and getting work in before 8 hours before practice.
And I'm like, I don't know. He seems old, guys.
He can't do it anymore.
I mean, when Mike talks about Marcus Smart as the guy everyone deferred to in Golden State, Draymond punched somebody in the face, got his money. Whose team is that? Whose team is that?
It's him, Steph, and Clay. It's their team. It's always been their team, and that's not going to change. And that's why they're demanding the money. They're demanding Clay's demanding the money. Because look at this building. I built this for you. Look at those banners. We're the ones that did that, not any of these other people. And I think after 4 championships, you kind of earned the right to say all that, to talk like that, even if they're wrong, right? In the same way that Kobe, when his time came to get a contract, it's like, yo, if you take less, we can get some help here. And he said, I'm not taking any less. He got every last dollar. Why? Because he's like, I made this happen for you people.
The problem, though, is that Neiman Bielitsa had that dog in him.
Oh, come on. Neiman? You made him Neiman?
How do you pronounce it?
Nemanja.
Oh, whatever.
Neiman Marcus had that dog in him.
Marcus.
Neiman Marcus had that dog in him.
He did, as a department store, more than any other department store.
They literally sell dogs.